And that's not you, bitch. It's not. And I'm sorry to break it to you. And I'm holding your hands when you say that, when I say this, but you are not cis. Why would you want to be cis, okay? So let's start here. Internalized transphobia is an unavoidable topic amongst trans people, really in all queer circles, but specifically for trans people, because keyword internalized, you are within yourself beating up on yourself for being trans or genderqueer, for not living up to cis expectations. And the problem here is that you are still trying to perceive yourself through a cis lens. A cis lens that inevitably is going to let you down. A cis lens that does not honor your experience at all. The tricky thing about internalized transphobia is that it's often subtle. It's sneaky. You don't notice it until you notice it, because oftentimes it just manifests itself as a distaste or a disgust when you see other trans people, right? It manifests itself as being terrified of being found out if you are a stealth trans person, like I was for 7 years. I was a stealth trans guy. Now I identify as a gender fluid person, more trans femme leaning, or more femme leaning. And so internalized transphobia can be broken down into a few key pillars. This page that I just put up on the screen is from my Queer Waters ebook that you can read. I will leave the description, I would leave the link to it in the description box. Internalized transphobia involves devaluing the trans experience, devaluing your experience, determining self-worth based on ability to perform cissexuality, subconsciously waiting to be chosen by cis people or cis culture, performing gender instead of embodying gender, a big one, desire to be understood by cis people or cis culture to feel valid, and waiting for acceptance instead of accepting yourself. Now let's double back and dig deeper into these topics. Oftentimes, trans people put cis people on a pedestal. Now what does that mean in practical terms? It means that you think that that cis person that you have a crush on is not likely to choose you because you are trans. You're putting them as a cis person on a pedestal above you simply because they are cis. Simply because in your mind, the standard of beauty is still cis. You have a hierarchy where cis is on top and trans is on the bottom. And that is the cis perspective. That is also the colonizer's perspective. When I say colonizer, I do mean that this is a system that undermines so many people's existences. This is not just the trans existence that is kind of targeted. This is also the Black existence, the Indigenous existence, the POC existence, the fat existence, the disabled existence. I could go, the neurodivergent existence. I could go on and on, right? So when we choose to dismantle internalized transphobia, when we stop beating up on ourselves for being trans, we are planting seeds for everybody's liberation, all right? So let's keep it pushing. Determining self-worth based on ability to perform cissexuality. When you are trans, oftentimes you will attribute your qualities that measure up to cis standards. You will consider those qualities good qualities. When you have qualities that are specifically trans qualities or not cis qualities, you will attribute those qualities to being bad, unworthy, undesirable. Let me give you an example. When I was a trans guy, I was deeply insecure about my height and my femininity. Being short killed me. It killed me inside because I attributed a short height, to a feminine characteristic. And the thing that really flipped it for me was I started attributing my height to a quality of punk rock. Not a feminine quality, not a masculine quality, a quality of punk rock. And so as we dismantle internalized transphobia, which is a step-by-step process, which is something that takes time, which is something that unfolds naturally in accordance to what personal limitations or blocks you have. Because my blocks and limitations are going to be different from your blocks and limitations. And we will be going through this together as a group in the Queer Waters Ritual starting September 21st. I am so excited to see you there. If you want to be in a community space with direct feedback and support from me, you are welcome to join the Queer Waters Ritual, where we will be going through this entire process of dismantling internalized transphobia, releasing these stories of limitation that trans people have been taught, and we have adopted them as, you know, a story of, I guess, victimhood, a story of not enough. And I understand this pain. I've been there, right? Which is why I made this container, so that we're not alone in this. Performing gender instead of embodying gender is a big one, because when I was a trans guy, in order to feel good enough, in order to feel like I measured up to what masculinity was, I focused on the things that cis people did, cis men did, and I adopted those traits, right? And some of those traits were, you know, inherent qualities of me, but so many of them were adopted from a culture that's not mine. It's not punk rock. It's a shell. It's me performing it. When you perform gender instead of embody it, you cut yourself off from the full range of experience of being a person, okay? When you are looking to have a binary trans experience, let's just say, right? Like I had when I was a trans guy. When you transition to be a boy or you transition to be a girl, whatever you're doing with your gender, you will focus on the things that can make you pass, which for many people is important. It was important for me, right? I'm not telling you to not pass. I'm not telling you to not have that goal, because passing does give you certain social privileges that I cannot deny, that nobody can deny. That's not what I'm saying, all right? But when you are transitioning from one gender to another, you will hyper-focus on the things that make you that gender. And even past the point of passing, once you're passing, all that, you know, stuff. Once you're passing even, you will still hold yourself to a cis standard that is not necessary for you to uphold, regardless of whether you pass or not. When I was a trans guy, yes, I felt like a boy. Yes, I felt like a boy. But I was also doing everything in my power to not be or present femininely. I limited the clothes I wore, limited the way that I expressed myself, my mannerisms. I limited so many things about me because I did not want to come across as effeminate. And this was also because I did not want to appear gay, because I was interested in women. And also, I was trying to be a straight cis boy. And so you can understand how the split happens. You feel like a girl or you feel like a boy, right? But you're also doing everything in your power to be a certain type of girl or boy. And that's not you, bitch. It's not. And I'm sorry to break it to you. And I'm holding your hands when I say this, but you are not cis. Why would you want to be cis, okay? That's all I'm going to say on that topic. But you are not cis. You are trans, and trans was not meant to hide. Trans was meant to be expressed boldly, courageously, with a kind of swagger, right? But anyways, yes, when I was a trans guy, I was saying no. I was flat out saying no to any action, experience, mannerisms, clothes that would suggest femininity in any way. And this is internalized cis-heteronormativity. Internalized cis-heteronormativity is when the cis or hetero experience is normalized, or what most often happens in the trans mind, pedestalized. That experience is pedestalized, and it leaves us internally feeling stuck in who we are. It leaves us feeling that we will never be loved. We will always have to over-explain, overcompensate, overextend, and it leaves us feeling seeking validation externally, seeking validation from cis people, from cis culture, to honor who we are. When the truth is, we as trans people are the gift, the golden goose. But if you still have internalized transphobia, you're beating up on yourself for being trans, for being queer, then being trans is going to feel like a burden. Being trans, being the only trans person, the only genderqueer person in your friend groups, it's going to feel like a burden because you're still seeking validation from them. You want to have a conversation with them that they cannot be a part of, that they don't know how to be a part of, because that's not their experience, right? You're waiting on cis people to start the conversation. You're waiting on cis people to love you, to be there for you, when that's not their role. That's not their role. Cis-heteronormativity is designed to, and I talk about this in my ebook. I'm actually just going to read it from the ebook. Cis-heteronormativity is designed to uphold isolated nuclear families, gender-specific insecurities, because if you really think about it, the main insecurities that men and women have is that they cannot, for the life of them, do their gender well enough. So many of these videos on YouTube where it's like, men and or women helping other men and women how to date or how to live their lives. It's all about that they can't be a good enough woman or exhibit the right qualities of a woman or the right qualities of a man. So they're always trying to maximize their gender, which is why I personally believe that cis people don't exist. And anyways, like, people transition from a girl to a woman, from a boy to a man. Those are clearly very different genders. But anyway, I digress. Cis-hetero normativity is designed to uphold isolated nuclear families, gender-specific insecurities, gender-based violence, capitalism, and so much more. What it does on the small scale is make trans and genderqueer people very ashamed, very afraid, and very nervous about ourselves and about others, and how we measure up to others, and what we are really worth, if anything at all. So at this point, I've harped on enough about the pain that we experience as trans people in this world, because the truth is, so many people do not understand our experience. We are born into a world where we are automatically considered other, where maybe even our family and our friends consider us other, because they simply do not know our experience. And maybe as a result, probably as a result, you consider yourself other. And not other in a cool way, like, yeah, I'm unique, I bring something new to the collective, my journey and my experience is valuable because it's something that most people have never experienced. No, instead, it's like a burden. It's like pain. It's like trauma. And it is like pain and trauma and a burden. Because for so many of us, for so long, it has been that and only that. Maybe the experience of those queer people, those genderqueer people, those trans people who are happy, maybe that's not an experience you can even imagine for yourself, or an experience that you have even seen. At this point in time, trans people are still other. We're still not prioritized in media. We're still not the center of love stories. We're still not the people being hired in high position corporate jobs, right? This stuff goes deep. And so it will take sitting with yourself, feeling the pain, allowing yourself to really expand in your capacity to hold that pain so that you can hold the joy of being trans. Because let me tell you, being trans, being gender fluid, being genderqueer is awesome. It's dope as hell. And it's an experience that not many people can say for themselves. I have lived as all the genders. I flip-flop between genders constantly. And some genders I look cis. For example, when I appear as a guy, I look pretty cis as a guy. As a girl, I look a little more trans. That's fine by me, because I'm not looking for cis people to validate my beingness, my existence. And of course, my experience is a little different because I'm genderqueer, I'm gender fluid. I use any pronouns, really. I prefer she, her, but I use any pronouns. I do not care how people really refer to me. But I think that a lot of people can gain wisdom and peace of mind from my perspective when it comes to letting other people perceive me however they want to perceive me. And knowing that in myself, I'm right with me. I'm cool with me. I've got things down pat for myself. Now let's move on to what it would look like if you were in your corner fighting for you. What it would look like if you stopped hating on yourself for being trans and you took not only a neutral approach, but you embraced all those qualities that make you trans. You used it as your unfair advantage, right? And we will be going through all of this as a group in the Queer Waters Ritual, identifying your pain story, your rejection story, your shame story, which is very real for trans people, expanding our ability to hold that pain and stepping back to give yourself the space to respond instead of react to that pain. And then with your capacity to hold it in your body, in your being, you can now choose how you want to write your story, rewrite your story. We will be rewriting your whole narrative in the Queer Waters Ritual. But let's talk about those specific things that we will be focusing on that I'm giving you right now. The missing pillars in trans liberation is co-regulation and a healthy nervous system connection. Now, why have I identified these to be the most important things? Number one, co-regulation. Let's say you're in a room with a person, and this person has a calm demeanor, they've got a heart rate that is regulated, they've got calm, cool vibes. And let's say you're studying together, and them being in the same space with you will regulate your heart rate, will make you calm, and And that back and forth calms you both. This is how we were physiologically and biologically designed to offload some of the stress and some of the pressure, some of the burden off to the collective so that we are not alone in this pain. Now, what social media and the internet has done in many ways is make us isolated from each other, not allowed us to actually show up honestly. We have been taught to show only a very curated highlight reel of our lives instead of allowing ourselves to embody the full experience of being a human. So the important thing about co-regulation is that we are in a space with other queer people. Hearing the stories, witnessing another queer person in their pain makes you realize that you are so not alone in your pain. You are so not alone in this. And in fact, so many trans people are going through the exact same thing. And I think maybe a lot of trans people are actually scared to open themselves up because they're scared to admit to themselves that they're not alone in this. Yeah, I see you in the back. I see you in the back. Sometimes it is scarier to admit to yourself that you're not alone. It's scary to admit to yourself that help is there, that people are there who can support you because you're so addicted to your pain story. You're so addicted to that trauma, and you're so addicted to being alone. Not just in your trans experience, but in your everything experience. But I digress. On a physiological and biological level, our body can relax. Our body can relax, but because we're not thinking about the way that our voice sounds. We're not thinking about how we come across. We're not thinking about portraying those mannerisms because we know that we're in a safe space full of other trans people and other queer people, gender queer people, who might be thinking about those exact same things. And so our heart rates, our bodies are being regulated together just because we're in the same Zoom call together, just because we've all got our little Zoom cameras on and we're seeing each other, witnessing each other, recognizing those trans features that are inherent to us in another person. That same trans experience that another person is going through, you're like, ding, 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 bitch. Literally me too. And secondly, a healthy nervous system connection is also incredibly important. Now, where does the nervous system connection get severed? It gets severed most of all through overstimulation. We do not give ourselves enough time to sit with each experience that we have. It's always more information, more people's opinions, newest hot take on life. Always trying to find an answer or a solution to a problem, when in reality, all that problem needs is for you to feel through it. And once you feel through something, you realize that the problem changes. Therefore, the solution and the answer changes. And 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, once you've sat with your feeling long enough, the problem just dissipates. So many people miss out on opportunities because they are jaw tight, shoulders clenched, fists balled up, one track tunnel vision mind on what one solution might be, when if you just relaxed a little bit, more solutions and more opportunities and more answers would come to you. Because you're not in tunnel vision. Stop trying to rush. Stop being addicted to the stress. Understand that you don't have to be perfect to be in community. You're so concerned with other people giving you the permission slip instead of giving the permission slip to yourself. But if you have deep-rooted, deep-seated internalized transphobia, it's going to be really hard to give yourself those permission slips because there's so much shame, trauma, and grief and guilt. It can be hard to move on. So yes, reminder that I'm teaching the Self-Sovereignty Masterclass on Friday, September 19th at 6 p.m. EST. The link for that masterclass is the same link where you can get the Queer Waters ebook. Now, if you can indulge me right now, I want to ask you a very important question. But I'm not going to just ask you this. I want you to fully come into this moment with me. Nothing too scary. I'm just going to walk you through some movement, okay? It'll only take a minute or two, okay? I want you to sit down in your body. Really feel the presence of your bum on the chair. Really feel that pressure. Maybe you want to put your hands on your thighs, your hands on your shoulders. Give yourself a bit of a rub. Recognize that you're a real person, that you're real, that you have your unique experience in whatever body you have, whether you like it or not right now. You have your unique experience. And because you are given a body to own, a body to use free will with, a body to experience a whole range of emotions, you have the ability to choose what experience you want to have. All right, let's give your neck a little bit of a twist here. Really feel the breath of your body, and I'm gonna ask you a question, but I really want you to be present here in this moment with me. Right? Nothing too scary. We're just getting into the body. We're just making ourselves aware of the fact that we can choose this experience. You are even choosing to move your body like this right now, all right? Now, when we think about being trans, and I'd love for you to put your hands on your tummy and on your chest. Take a deep breath. This is called a two-part breath. Breathe into your stomach and then pull that breath up into your chest. I'll walk you through this. 1, 2, 3, into the stomach, into the chest. Hold. And release. Now let's do this one more time. Breathe into the tummy. Let that tummy fully expand. Into the chest. Hold. Now a big sigh out. Beautiful. Now let's close your eyes here for a second. Now I want you to bring your attention to your genderqueerness, to your transsexuality, to this experience of being trans and genderqueer. Now I want you to feel into that sensation of the purity of that experience, the joy of this experience. We're not thinking about any cis expectations. We're not thinking about how hard we're trying to be cis. Queer, gender queerness, transness. Can you tap into that joy of being so unique, of having a gender that is so uniquely your own, irreplicable, irreplaceable? By the time you're like gone out of this world, like your gender would have been your unique expression, right? Something somebody could reference as being so uniquely yours. Right? Now imagine that you live in a world where there are no cis-het people, not a single cis-het person. Do you feel any relief in your body? Because I just felt it. Your shoulders releasing, your tummy releasing, your mind calming down. There's no cis people right now. Keep your eyes closed, bitch. There's no cis people, no heterosexual people. Everybody's trans, everybody's queer. Everybody has a unique genderqueer expression, right? Are you overcompensating here? Do you feel the need to overextend, to overexplain? Or are you comfortable with the mysteriousness of the trans experience? How people can't really tell what you are, or maybe people want to know more, how you identify. In this world where everybody's genderqueer and everybody's aware of the fact that you can't really tell what a person is like from the first impression that you make on them. How does it feel to be in this space where you can be whatever you are? How does it feel where you can walk out of the house and be whoever you are, look however you are, and still be respected in your job, still be respected in your relationships, still be respected on the streets, still be respected by loved ones and strangers? You go back home to your roommates and you're safe there too, to be whoever you are. How does it feel to be so okay and fine? You don't even care about the perception of other people have of you because you understand everybody has a similar perspective on this, especially when it comes to gender. Can you feel how your breath has changed? Can you feel how you're more relaxed in your body? You're not holding on to the tension in your body? Is your mind calmer? Are you more here with me right now? Clock this feeling. Clock this feeling, because this is the feeling that we want to generate in our bodies and in our minds more and more and more, until we come to the place where we can hold our trans pain and our trans joy in both hands and decide what we gonna choose, all right? This experience gets to be your choice. This whole world is your oyster. And I understand that that may sound triggering. I will be the first to admit that we do not all have the same privileges, number one. Number two, some of us live in environments where we just can't be queer out loud, like I can, for instance, which is my role, okay? It's my role to be out and proud as a genderqueer person. Do not make it your burden to be that if that's not within your capacity right now. When it comes to doing this work of dismantling internalized transphobia, we must start at the place where we're at right now, okay? Some of y'all are not gonna wanna hear that, but we must start at the place where we're at right now. If transitioning is not even a possibility right now, perhaps where you're starting is not beating up on yourself internally for being trans and genderqueer. Understanding and getting to the root of the shame and the rejection that you feel internally. Being in a space with other queer people, watching my videos, watching videos that other people have made. Maybe that's where you're at. And that is exactly where you're supposed to be, okay? When we give ourselves time and space, when we reclaim our connection to our bodies, we let ourselves for a second, whether it is in the shower, whether it is in a meditation, we let ourselves be who we are unapologetically. We carve out an hour or half an hour or 10 minutes where we put on a little lipstick, where we can reclaim who we are without apology. So when we do this deep internal work, we're changing so many things for ourselves, okay? Now that I've left you, hopefully in a different space than when I met you, I'm gonna leave you here. Again, all my links are in the description box that I mentioned in this video. If you resonated with what I said, I highly recommend checking out the Queer Waters ebook, checking out the masterclass, either attending it live or watching the recording. The recording will also be available in the same link in the description box. It's lovely to chat with you. I will be back soon with another video. You guys mean a lot to me. This platform means a lot to me. Being recognized for my voice means a lot to me. Recognizing myself for my voice means a lot to me. And to have it received so graciously by all of you. So thank you. Ciao.